first gained traction in the 50s. American nutritionist Ancel Keys became intrigued with the soaring rates of heart disease after World War II.
The facts are simple. Do you know the chief killer of Americans is cardiovascular disease?
He compared the rates of heart disease and fat consumption in 6 countries. It was almost a perfect correlation. The more fat people ate, the higher the rates of heart disease. Except there was just one problem. Keys withheld data for 16 other countries. Later, when researchers plotted all 22 countries, the correlation wasn't so perfect. Dr. Michael Eads is critical of the way Ancel Keys excluded countries that didn't fit his hypothesis.
He more or less cherry-picked countries. You could show just the opposite. You could show that the more saturated fat people ate, the less heart disease they had if you cherry-picked the right countries.
Dr. Eads says that even if fat consumption trends in the same direction as heart disease, it doesn't prove anything.
Just because there's a correlation doesn't mean that there's causation. It's like people who are fat have big belts, but that doesn't mean that if you go and buy a smaller belt, you won't be fat. I mean, that's not causation. You know, that's what these observational studies show, is just a correlation.
The most influential and respected investigation into the potential causes of heart disease was carried out here in the town of Framingham, Massachusetts. It began in 1948 and is still going on today. It's the longest observational study of its kind, involving over 5,000 residents. One of the Framingham researchers became so dismayed with the results, he wrote a scathing review of the whole diet heart hypothesis, saying that people had been misled by the greatest scientific deception of our times, the notion that animal fat causes heart disease. Hundreds of articles refuting the cholesterol hypothesis have been published in the world's leading medical journals, but they rarely get noticed by mainstream media.
What you do in bad science is you ignore any evidence that's contrary to your beliefs, your hypothesis, and you only focus on the evidence that supports it.
In 1977, the US government stepped in. Senator George McGovern, an advocate of Ancel Keys' theory, headed a committee hearing to end the debate once and for all.
And they are the ones who really have put us in the nutritional mess that we're in now, because based on virtually zero science, they decided that a low-fat diet was the best thing for us all.
Eminent scientists at the time disagreed with the report.
That's why I have pleaded in my report, and will plead again orally here, for more research on the problem before we make announcements to the American public.
But their pleas fell on deaf ears.
Well, I would only argue that the senators don't have the luxury that a research scientist does of waiting until every last shred of evidence is in.
This led to the creation of the food pyramid, which formed the basis of our dietary advice in the following 4 decades. It advised us to eat less saturated fat, mainly found in meat and dairy, recommending a diet rich in carbohydrate foods like breads, grains, and cereals.
McGovern himself was from a big wheat growing state, so it didn't hurt him politically that people moved away from foods of animal origin into breads and pastas.